The Playboy Bunny himself, Mega Lopunny. Hey, what's happening? What's popping, guys? We decided to build this one around Mega Lopunny. Mega Lopunny is extremely good in the OU tiers. And also, there was a little bit of controversy on one of my videos saying, oh, Mega Lopunny should have been on the top 5 Mega Pokemon for League format. Well, you know what? Shut up. Anyways. Yes, Mega Lopunny does very well versus offensive teams because it outspeeds them, it has a priority in Fake Out, and it hits everything for neutral damage, but against Stall, it's not really the best because things like Slowbros, Clefables, even things like Skarmories can deal with it, the Muse. So bulky Psychics, bulky Fairy types can, I mean, exactly. It's just bulky mons can somewhat deal with Mega Lopunny if it's got, like a good amount. I mean, even things like Tangrowth. It's basically anything that's super fat can check Mega Lopunny. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna get fun with it, and I'm gonna build a team full of stall breakers. So one of the most common, yeah. So it's a Mega Lopunny standard set here with the Ice Punch. So from here on out, I have the Hydreigon. Now, something that you see very common with the Lopunny cores are something like a Gengar, which is very good, but I didn't want my Lopunny check, or my Mega Lopunny core mon breaker to be also weak to Pursuit Trap, because it's like if Gengar were to get Pursuit Trapped, the game's over if they have something like a Slowbro or whatever, and I didn't want to be weak to like Pursuit Trappers and stuff like that. So I decided to go Hydreigon, another very good check along with the Lopunny. And very few things can actually check the Lopunny, and you can kind of like, I mean, even things like Clefable, if you predict it right and get 2 returns off on it, it will still, like, you can kill it if they're only at like 70% or whatever. Flash Cannon does a ton of damage. The speed tier is the outspeed base 80s, and this is a very good Volcanion check. And this Volcanion check, once again, not weak to Pursuit Trappers. And I really like Hydreigon, and it's fun to use. Next we have Heatran, Choice Specs. I think Heatran was very good to bring on this team because, let's see. Now, we literally lose to close combat, but that's not a problem because we got sticky webs and we can play around to close combat. I mean, not really, because we're just going to auto lose to close combat, but anyways. Choice Specs Heatran blows back everything bar Chansey. I mean, I'm not kidding. There's no switch-ins to a modest Choice Specs Heatran. Like, so many people forget it has base 130 special attack. Modest, it's extremely powerful. Now, you could run like Magma Storm, but like, I don't really see the need to, because Magma Storm is a little bit weaker, and the reason why you run Magma Storm on Heatran is to trap, then taunt, then toxic, then this, then that. And it's like, that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to like 2 KO everything with Heatrans, and that's what it does. Plus, like, this doesn't miss as much Fire Blast. Next is Landorus, and we got a little bit creative here where we have a Yachi Berry with Explosion. So kind of the thought process here. One, we need a rocker that's, once again, the EQ switch-ins were Hydreigon, and that's not really a good EQ switch-in because Mold Breaker and stuff like that. Landorus is, it's just a good mod in general, obviously. And the Explosion here is for a specifically kind of like Manaphy. So like, let's say obviously Manaphy outspeeds, but it's like there's no reason to run U-turn here, because it's like the whole team creates momentum. Like, it's just everything, and you never really, like, you don't want to switch out Mega Lopunny, you don't want to switch out Hydreigon, you don't want to switch out Heatran, and nothing really, bar like Skarmory, really can deal with Landorus. And you don't really even want to switch out Landorus. The biggest thing, though, that Explosion does, other than being an absolute nuke, is to be able to prevent a possible rapid spin or defog. So let's say they have something slow, a slow rapid spin defog user, like a Skarmory, for example. If I explode, one, I'm doing a massive amount of damage, and I prevent them from going for defog. And that's important because we have sticky webs. Yes. This is going to be a sticky web team, so complementary to the Heatran. We're already incredibly fast, so Mega Lopunny literally outspeeds Scarfers. I think it actually can outspeed the Excadrills inside sand with web support. So I mean, this team is a bunch of nukes that's like super fast. It's kind of the team concept here, and I don't know, the coverage on Galvantula is pretty fun as well. And then Tyranitar is good. Like, let's say they have a Kyurem or whatever, and they're just gonna lead Kyurem. You know, well, I have a Mega Lopunny that can kill it as well. But like, I don't know, it's just a very good check in general. It gives me another pursuit. Well, pursuit trapper for kind of like the bulky psychics from beforehand, and it hits a very good speed tier in a choice scarf. But you know, it's mostly to pursuit trap the Lotties because Heatran can get easily whittled, and you want more than one Lottie check if you have a team kind of like this. And Tyranitar is just really fun and cool and stuff like that. So we're going to see how does this team do on paper. So we're going to get our first game now. Well, you look at that first game right off the bat. I'm facing some sort of scummy Shedinja team that I've seen plenty of times. I don't know if this is the guy that always runs it. I don't really remember offhand because a couple people steal the team, but and I don't even really know how I feel about the matchup as well. But at this point in time, I actually did not have Flash Cannon on the Hydreigon. I actually ran Flamethrower because I thought we were a little bit weak to Scizor initially, but then it's like, no, it's better just to run Flash Cannon. So if I were to have, you know, Flash Cannon, I would have just led Hydreigon and just like 6-0'd him, but that's fine. These type of teams always lead with Sableye and are incredibly mindless because there's a specific pattern that they always do every single game. So we're going to try to abuse that. So knowing that he's going to lead off with his Mega Sableye, I lead off with my Mega Lopunny. I was kind of thinking, it's like, you know, do I just want to initially go for a high jump kick here right off the bat, or just go for a fake out so I don't get burned, or I wasn't sure, but I decided to go straight for a fake out because if he did go into the Shedinja, I didn't want to get 50% off my health, like going for straight up for a high jump kick, and it's a very free switch into the Shedinja. I actually was thinking about going T-Tar right off the bat, but just in case if he wanted to go for a fake out, there's no reason. I thought he was going to go for a fake out, let me fake him out, and then switch into the Shedinja, so I kind of got that wrong. But because I have a T-Tar, also I also needed to predict or see if he had Baton Pass, which and I knew he wasn't gonna stand, so he goes straight for a Baton Pass, and it's kind of like playing around. Like, I need him to attack me the turn I go into T-Tar, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. So I'm going to continuously make this play until I just need to catch him once. So turn 2, I keep predicting him to switch out. I knew he was going to switch. But this time, all right, so I'm thinking, all right, I'm not switching out. I'm continuously clicking return, clicking return, clicking return. So I'm thinking, all right, one of these turns you're going to attack me. So I predict him to attack me this time because I keep going for a turn. But he decides to fight. You know, he continuously. It was basically, I was trying to beat him with mind games because I want to take out that Shedinja so I can start abusing him with Mega Lopunny. But I don't catch him, as I'm at least able to break the Sash on Dugtrio, but at the cost of my Tyranitar, which is kind of bad. But it's it is whatever. Now here, I decided to go out into my Mega Lopunny because he can't go into Shedinja because I have my sand up, and sand would obviously kill him. So it's like if I'm gonna use the Mega Lopunny, it's gonna be now or never. And I actually didn't expect him to go into Seismitoad because high jump kick to a KO. I actually expected him to go like Togekiss, but whatever. I mean, this is still very, very good damage. And I have no reason not to go for a high jump kick because like Lopunny's my most expendable mon on my team, and I just got a ton of damage on to the Seismitoad. So knowing that he's gonna obviously switch out to the Shedinja, as he's done millions of times, I can just get up my rocks because it serves two purposes here. It serves the purpose of breaking the sash off Dugtrio and killing the Dugtrio, etc., etc. But it also allows me to have him defog because he has to defog. So yeah, so this is gonna happen. I'm gonna miss my Stone Edge, which means like I could have easily 2 KO'd Landorus, and I would have been able. Essentially, I would have been able to keep up my rocks this game if I would have hit the Stone Edge. But you know, of course, as I'm gonna get up my rocks again because it's a very, very good play. So here he goes for a knockoff, and I actually expected him to maybe Will-O-Wisp there, but I guess he makes it. You know, he makes a good play, knocks off there. But like I'm still powerhouse Heatran, and he switches a Togekiss onto a Heatran, and I thought Flash Cannon was my best play because it still killed the Seismitoad. It didn't miss, and he went into his Togekiss on a Heatran. Maybe he was max speed and was able to defog, but because of that, I actually won the game. Not because he just quit, because the game was over. Shedinja was dead. His Talonflame would have been 50% every time. His Dugtrio would have been dead. He can't remove hazards. His Seismitoad, pretty much his whole team's dead except for his Sableye and his Talonflame, which I still had a full HP Landorus that could have beat them both. Dark Pulses from Hydreigon, even Dracos from Hydreigon. I still had Heatran that beat them both, so the game was pretty much over. So we were able to use this team effectively, which is we have Wall Breakers. This is kind of like I guess a Stallier team. So we used the Stally Mons against him by using the Stall Breakers. And yeah, so we're going to get into our next game here. Ha! Yes, so surprise, surprise, shocker, shocker. We face another Sableye scumbag team. I mean, this team's not really a gimmick team like the other one was, but it's still really, really annoying. Immediately, I can tell that he is Choice Scarf Landers from the makeup of his team. How you're able to do that is because if you run Landers, you're mostly going to run it for stealth rocking purposes. But he has stealth rocks on either his Fat Blob here, his Fat Blob here, or his Fat Blob here, and it allows the Scarf Landers to be able to get momentum with U-turn, instantly get Intimidate, and I think if you're gonna run 5 Fatmons and then a momentum U-turn, it makes the most amount of sense. Another thing that I noticed about his team is that he has a defensive check for every single one of my Mons, and that's really, really annoying, which means I can't really capitalize on, like, there's no point in making doubles with these kinds of teams. There's no point of, like, you have to make the correct predictions every single turn, and the team is still in the back, and if we play it correctly, we can still come out with the game. So, once again, if I lead off with Mega Lopunny, he's got Skarmory, he's got Clefable. I mean, even Landorus can take a hit, obviously. Hydreigon. I don't even have Flash Cannon on this Hydreigon yet, so that's why it is a must to run Flash Cannon on the Hydreigon. I learned my lesson. So we could have also had maybe Superpower. Well, we could have maybe lured the Superpower, like if we switched in the on the Clefable, but we couldn't even really play the Hydreigon because he had 200% walls to it, We have choice specs. Heat ran that his only check to it is the Clefable, so if he decides to play reckless around the heat ran, not expecting it to be choice specs, I can just get pick up a free kill. Next is Landorus. Landorus is walled by his own Landorus, his Skarmory, kind of his Mega Sableye. But next, there's no reason to even get up webs as well, so my sticky webs are nullified. It's meaningless, and Galvantula does 0 versus this team. I mean, it can pick up a Thunder kill on maybe like the Volcanion and the Skarmory, and I mean Thunder still hits his team relatively well, except for the Fat Blob here, and I do pack the HP Ice, so I might be able to catch the Landers there. And the best wall breaker on my team though is going to be my Heatran, or is my Tyranitar, because he has no Stone Edge switch-ins. So knowing that he's going to lead off with Mega Sableye, because they all lead Mega Sableye, the reason why everybody leads off with Mega Sableye is to prevent a rocks to get on their side. It's basically for hazard control, long story short. The reason why I faked out is because if he went for a fake out of his own, means that I don't get faked out. But he's Rocky Helmet, which is worst case scenario for me, so I have a couple Skarmory checks, and here I miss a Fire Blast. If I had hit Fire Blast, Mega Sableye's dead. What I mean by that is it would have been able to do like 70-80% depending on his spread. It would have been doing a massive amount of damage, which means that every single mon on my team could revenge it. So Fire Blast, 2 Fire Blast kills it, or if he decided to switch out for whatever reason, Crunch kills it, Dark Pulse kills it, Return kills it, High Jump Kick kills it, Thunder kills it, Earthquake kills it. So if I had hit that, the Sableye's dead, but I miss. And he's able to knock off my choice specs. So that's really, really annoying. And I don't expect him to stay in because, like, you have one, you have Volcanion, and 2, you have a Chansey that can wall it, and Fire Blast still 2 it KOs it, but he decides to fire off another knockoff. Now, it actually didn't really matter too much because, like, he had no HP Ice or Ice, whatever. And I didn't need my item. But he decides to switch out, which is good for me because he could have burned me. But what I'm trying to do here with my Landers is kind of pressure his Skarmory to go for a defog on a very specific turn. Best case scenario for me is I want rocks to be on both sides of the field because with rocks it pressures his team a little bit more in my eyes. And I basically want rocks up, and I want to be able to get a free switch out into my Heatran on a turn he's going maybe for a Roost or this or that. So he goes for a Whirlwind and goes in Galvantula, which is pretty good for me. And here he goes with Landorus. Wild plays all around. I didn't think HPS was the play. Now, hindsight, maybe it was the play because he did go into his Landorus, but like he had so many switches into Galvantula that for free. Like if you have a free switch into something, like a free switch into Fat Blob Blissey, or even something like Clefable can probably take 2 Thunders, but you decide to go Landorus when I could have predicted that and go on for HP Ice. I mean, even Sableye might be able to take 2 Thunders. But, he makes the Landers play. Very annoying, but it is what it is. So I go into my Landorus, because that's kind of like my Earthquake switch in. And here I make a play that's going to save me the game if I'm going to have a chance. So because his initial switch is always going to be the Skarmory, and even if he stays in, I decide to go for Explosion. So the whole reason why we have Explosion is for this very purpose, not to get off 30% damage on Skarmories, but now rocks are up and he can't defog, and it allows me to go out into my Heatran, and now I have created momentum for myself. Sure, I lost my Landers, but I was able to get off pretty good damage here, as now he's on the back foot, and rocks are up. So he goes Clefable, or Chansey, which, hard walls. I can't do anything about that. Like, it doesn't help me if I continuously double, so I have to I have to attack what's in front of me because he has a hard wall for every single team. You know, if I go out to something, then he just goes out into something else and something else and something else. There's no point. So he has no rock resist. I go for Stone Edge, and that does nothing. That's very, very bad for me. But, like, you know, once again, uh, I'm able to, you know, continuously hit Stone Edge. I'm hitting, and I get a crit. That's nice. As he's going to go out into the Landorus, and that still does a massive amount of damage to the Scarf Landorus. And I'm going to switch out into my Galvantula because I want to sack this thing. Because it actually hurts me having Galvantula because he can, you know, as here, I'm not, because I don't, yeah, the sand, of course, sand doesn't take me out. Basically, he's able to get a recover off, and it just lost me all the momentum that I created earlier. So now I have to create momentum all over again by making correct, you know, predictions. So I'm able to predict his Clefable as he's shown that Skarmory was his play, and Skarmory's kind of low, and I could, you know, just 2 KO it with high jump kick. But he goes into the Clefable, which is still relatively a safe switch because return still doesn't 2 KO it. But, you know, I make the correct read, and I'm able to whittle down the Clefable. As here you see that he is a Wish Clefable, which means that it's kind of very, very bad for me because he can Wish up his pretty much everything, but I have to continue the pressure. I go for Fire Blast because it is my hardest hitting attack versus everything else bar. Because there's no reason he was gonna go for like a moon. He was obviously either gonna protect or switch. So I go out into my Lopunny, predicting him to go back out in the Clefable. I click return, and I'm still just trying to get the 2 KO on this thing. So I'm able to go for another return because there's no way that he's. I mean, he could go for a Moonblast, but I make a somewhat risky play because he could have Thunder. Well, he doesn't have Thunder Wave because he has Wish Protect, Moonblast, maybe Calm Mind or Heal Bell or whatever. And I'm able to force him to, you know, protect and just get a lot of damage off on him. So next time Mega Lopunny comes in, I'm able to 2 KO this thing if predicted correctly. So I'm showing off the Flash Cannon, showing him he cannot stay in. So I pull double back out into this, predicting his Clefable again, and this time I decide to go for the high jump kick because I've shown return so many different times. He cannot go into Clefable, and I'm able to 2 KO the Skarmory. So now the Mega Lopunny is a huge threat, and now it is my win condition. The reason why is how stall teams work is if you can knock out the one stall, you know, the only thing that really checked Mega Lopunny was a full HP Clefable, which now he's not even at full HP, so now he doesn't check me as well. And Skarmory, which is now dead. So I'm going to try to win with Mega Lopunny here, as I have no reason to risk it. I'm just going to sack Galvantula to see what he choice locks himself into, which is U-turn, which means I'm back inside, gotta sack something, and he makes a horrible play. I mean, he just choked the game away. He should have sacked either his Sableye or his Volcanion because, like, he didn't need them, and he needed Clefable to be able to check my Lopunny, and because of that, you just choked the game away. You pretty much had a guaranteed win, but you decide to check the only thing that can. You decide to sack, yeah, the Clefable for no reason, and Lopunny's gonna get its kill, and from here on out, as soon as I can kill this Landorus, I click high jump kick 3 times and win the game. So I'm gonna, you know, switch out as he goes out into the Landorus, gets a kill here, and I decide to. I was probably gonna go out into the Hydreigon and just click, you know, Dark Pulse or something like that. Yeah, and that's another thing is that because his Clefable's gone, now I can just start somewhat nuking things with Dark Pulse. I say somewhat because he still has the Chansey, but the game is over because I click high jump kick 3 times at that point in time because he's choice locked. I go out into the Hydreigon or fake out Lopunny, and I just won the game. So that's how the team works. Very offensive. It beats stall teams. It beats offensive teams, and a lot of cool, interesting sets that overwhelm opponents. So if you like this series, make sure to leave a like. If you got any suggestions, let me know. And until next time, I'm signing out. Peace.